Thousands of Cougar fans are making their way to Tucson, Arizona, where the number 18 BYU Cougars take on a much improved Arizona squad under the desert sun. This might be one of the Big 12's implication games, and there's plenty of numbers to unpack. I'm Nathan Johnston alongside Brad Hopkins. It's time to break the huddle. Brad, quick mention of kickoff time and heat factor. Going to be about 85 to 100 degrees on the field on Saturday night. Sorry about the graphic down below. Forgot to change the time and the network. It's going to be ESPN2 at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Brad, I think everyone should be looking forward to this one. Arizona Stadium expected to be full, unlike last week against Oklahoma State. Don't think anyone really cared about that game. No offense to Oklahoma State. The betting line keeps moving. BYU opened up 1.5 favorite. Now they sit at 2.5. Got to ask you right away, Brad. You've seen these lines shift. What do you think? What do you make of the early movement towards BYU?
You know, it's hard to argue with the line movement. BYU's been really good this year, Nate. And I, for one, have been a little bit surprised. I didn't doubt their talent and how good this team was. But, you know, you lose your starting quarterback, midsummer. You're starting a true freshman. But they've surpassed expectations. This is a consistently good program. They are a real factor in a crazy Big 12, and that's all to that coaching staff and just what they've done. They've been a really, really pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I got a chance to sit down and watch their full game against West Virginia Friday night at Break the Huddle After Dark. We'll be live again this Friday, by the way. And they just put it on West Virginia from the start. I mean, it wasn't even close. The best part of that game was watching our co-host, Jake, jump into the pool every time West Virginia scored. That was the best part of the game. Everything outside of that was all BYU. With the occasion, they had one big mistake where they try to pitch it outside. The guy tips it for West Virginia, and they get it inside the 2-yard line. That's when they scored, I believe, their first touchdown. Mm-hmm. Jake lost his mind. Didn't think he was going to have to jump in the pool. He did. And now we sit here coming into this week, and the spread keeps moving towards BYU. To your point, it doesn't surprise me at all. Bear Bachmeier, who I was very high on coming into the year, even thought he would have a chance to start over Jake Retzlaff. And then everything came out, and it was like, well, this is the no-brainer now. I know that there was a quarterback competition. Bear made a name for himself very early. 79 of 115, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception on the year. He's played outstanding. And then you look at Arizona's offense with Noah Fafita still at the helm. 65% completion rate, over 1,300 yards passing, 13 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Fafita's numbers jump off the page, but Bear Bachmeier has been efficient and mistake-free. Then you look at the receiving corps. Chase Roberts. If you haven't heard this guy's name before, you will hear it on Saturday. This dude was all over the field on Friday night. If there was a pass play, all I said was, well, where's number 2? Look for Chase Roberts because he's getting the ball. 20 receptions, 395 yards, 3 touchdowns, and honestly, it probably could have been a lot more if they hadn't taken out their starters. Then you look at Arizona, Trace Spivey, 22 receptions, 316, 3 touchdowns. Expect both quarterbacks to lean heavily on their wide receiver ones coming into this game. The running backs play a part as well. BYU, 409 yards on the ground, 76 carries, 3 touchdowns. Arizona, very similar, 380 plus, 64 carries, and 1 touchdown. To me, BYU's ground game has been more balanced. Arizona's relies on Fafita's quick reads, which kind of plays in their favor for the offense that they're trying to run. My question to you right out of the gate, Brad, which offense has the edge? Arizona's explosive air game or BYU's balance and efficiency?
This is a really good question. I think you've got to give the advantage to BYU, and you mentioned it's the balance. LJ Martin is a tremendous running back. You mentioned Chase Roberts, man. He was so fun to watch against that West Virginia defense. But Nate, Bear Bachmeier, as a true freshman, I just, I can't speak high enough. He has just got such a command, such a presence of this offense. He's going to be fun to watch in his career. For that reason, give me BYU having the advantage. They're so balanced.
Yeah.
They're fit, man. They're so physical. Kind of reminds you, just of this is not that long ago, but an Alabama offense under Greg McElroy and AJ McCarron. Obviously not that, but just
Sure.
they're going to run out tight ends. They're going to they want to get downhill in the running game. They want to hit play action passes, but it's just a really really balanced offense, and it's tough to try to shut down just one thing, because then they can expose you in other areas.
Yeah, and then you look at a guy like Carson Ryan at the tight end position. You mentioned the tight end position, number 20. You're going to hear his name a lot too, I believe, on Saturday night, I should say, for this game. He has made a tremendous jump this year, Brad. He was a little under the radar last year, and man, he has really made a name for himself this year for the BYU Cougars. And I credit Bear Bachmeyer for that one. This is a team who spreads the ball around. I watch them. Every single guy was getting touch on Friday nights. And granted, I probably could have thrown 150 yards passing against West Virginia's defense, the way they were leaving those lanes wide open. It was a piece of strudel for that BYU offense. But no, I think, to your point, like, this BYU offense has just continued to grow and grow and grow into an offense that we did not expect at the beginning of the year. I thought Bear Bachmeyer was a good quarterback, and I thought that they would play well. I've been really impressed with how they've progressed. And that's what you want to see in college football, especially with NIL, especially with the transfer portal. How are teams going to cohesively come together in that locker room and make a name for themselves? BYU is one of those teams in the Big 12 that could easily, at the end of the year, be making the Big 12 championship game, in my opinion. Let's look at the defensive edge and trends for this game. Team defense. BYU has 10 sacks, 7 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. Arizona holding their own as well. 13 sacks, 7 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles as well, 4 fumbles recovered. I don't know if I have that stat right. That's a little misleading. Nonetheless, these two defenses come in very, very strong. The trends. Arizona's defense hasn't allowed an offensive touchdown in 3 straight games. That's insane. BYU's defense travels, giving up just 24 points per game. They gave up a few late touchdowns against West Virginia in that game. It was kind of already over by that point. Yeah. We didn't make Jake jump in the pool the third time. It was over after 2. Both teams tied in takeaways at 10, though. And a stat to note, BYU 17-5 as a ranked team versus unranked teams. Arizona 16-14 at home since 2021, 7-4 under Brennan. Arizona's defense has been lights out recently, Brad. Can that hold up against BYU's physical front?
It's going to be tough, Nate. One thing that, if I'm an Arizona fan, it concerns me is you saw a few weeks ago Arizona play Iowa State. And I'm not saying they're identical offenses, but, I always think about Iowa State as having a, physical brand of football. And Arizona gave up, I believe, 39 points. So that trend, that worries me a little bit. That's going to be the question is what is that Arizona front seven made of? Can they deal with LJ Martin and getting penetration, staying sound in their gaps? That's going to be a really, really interesting battle. Is this Arizona Wildcat defense, are they physical enough to try to slow down BYU?
They definitely have playmakers up front, right? They got guys like Kennedy. They got guys like McKnight, Smith up front. Those are guys that are going to week in, week out show up on the field. But this offensive line for BYU is just so good. They're so good, man. And I watched them completely dominate against West Virginia. And I know I keep bringing up West Virginia. It's the most recent example I can give. And we watched it live for the show. This BYU team, in my opinion, is for real. If they can continue to play sound defense, their offense has the playmakers and the skill set to take them all the way to the playoff, in my opinion. Let's talk about the strength of schedule and momentum. Arizona opponents, 14-14 combined record. Hawaii, Weber State, Kansas State, Iowa State, OSU. I believe that's Oklahoma State, if I'm correct. Yes. Not the best of scheduling. They don't have any control over that, though. Right? They just show up and play the games that they're supposed to play. They've been dominating. BYU's opponents, not that great. 9-19 combined. You got Portland State, which didn't even know they had a football team. Stanford, East Carolina, Colorado, West Virginia. West Virginia's in a lot of trouble, by the way. Arizona's faced stiffer tests, but BYU's been dominant in every single metric. BYU 5-0 is riding an 11-2 2024 season and looks for a playoff caliber year this year. Arizona 4-1, already matched last year's win total. And the home crowd will be key for this one. BYU's got a great home crowd as well. They really showed out Friday night. I saw some great signs in the crowd. I can't repeat all of them, but that stadium was electric Friday night. BYU Cougar mascot jumping over the flames. I mean, it reminds me of Will Ferrell jumping in the mascot suit in that movie Old School. I wouldn't recommend watching that necessarily with children, but when he catches on fire, I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to be just like that movie. But Brad, I got to ask you, when it comes to the strength and schedule momentum, which one means more to you? Arizona being battle tested, or do you think BYU's habit of just winning continues?
This is so tough to me because, BYU has been on the road a couple games. They made a long trip cross country to Greenville to play East Carolina. They won a really, really close game on the road against Colorado. But Arizona's faced some tough in-conference competition. They did have a very, very poor showing against Iowa State. They beat Kansas State. Kansas State's way down. But, Nate, it's a little bit of a toss-up as far as the schedule. Neither one of these teams have a super strong out-of-conference schedule. So I think we're gonna find out a lot of answers about both these teams Saturday. And I hate to say it's the first true. It's not. That's not fair to say. It's not the first true test. I think in a sense it's more the first true test for BYU than it is Arizona, if that kind of answers your question a little bit.
I think it's the biggest test for both of these teams. These are two top-tier competitors in the Big 12. And the only reason I say that is because, in my opinion, Iowa State took a step back this past weekend, losing to Cincy, which I called it.
Yeah.
I called it. I picked Cincinnati. I called it. That's like my proud moment of the weekend. But I truly believe these two teams have the capability to make it to the Big 12 championship game. I know Iowa State might be in it, question mark. Texas Tech, probably.
Tech's the favorite.
Probably the favorite, but one of these teams has a chance to go play Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship, barring, some big mistake or fall off by Texas Tech, which can happen. This is the biggest test for both of these teams, in my opinion. Arizona's offense versus BYU's defense is probably the storyline for me. BYU's offense is going to show up. Arizona's defense, they got to show up. I don't say this often. I know we talk about home field advantage. This is a game where I think home field advantage actually does make a difference in this one. BYU, it's already snowing in the northwest area of the United States. I have friends out there, and I'm not saying it's like a huge difference in weather, but when you're playing under that desert sun on 100-degree weather, cramps, everything comes into play. Yes, you get an extra day of rest because you played on Friday night, but it's going to be a big test for BYU. Make no mistake, as big of a game as this is for BYU and how dominant they've been, it's going to be interesting to see how they fare with the weather. I'll turn it over to you, Brad. Let's put it on the record. Who wins under the desert lights? Is it going to be Arizona or the number 18 BYU Cougars?
They love BYU. They are just playing tremendous football. I think they are definitely in the Big 12 conversation. I think they're in the college football playoff conversation. Give me the Arizona Wildcats.
Wow.
Two factors. I think Noah Fafita, I think he stayed at Arizona. I think, and I don't know this, I think he definitely probably had some suitors in the portal. Brent Brennan is a good coach. He's got this team back on track. They had a very, very rough year. It's in Arizona. I think that's going to be a factor. Nate, I think also one thing that we haven't mentioned, the Holy War is next Saturday. BYU
That's right.
versus Utah. I personally think BYU is going to be maybe looking ahead a little bit. I'm going to take the Wildcats in an upset.
Wow. Look, both of these teams come in here. It's a coin flip, right? BYU favored by 2.5, 1.5, whatever spread you want to look at. It's a coin flip. It's a big game for both teams. Road test for BYU in the hot summer air. Then they got to go back to play Utah. I can't remember if it's at Utah or
it's at BYU.
At BYU. So, doesn't make that big of a difference. But either way, they're going to have to play in colder weather. I'm going to take BYU. And the reason I say this is I don't think they can afford to overlook Arizona, and I don't think they will. We saw them play against West Virginia. They could have easily looked over West Virginia as a team who lost their starting quarterback, doesn't have much to play for. And what did they do? They just came out there and absolutely dominated. Yes, West Virginia covered the spread. That's great. Shout out Rooster. Congrats on that pick. But BYU has just shown me time and time again the consistency, the discipline. This is a team that will travel well on the road. They're not going to be fazed by the opponent crowd. Give me the BYU Cougars. Bear Bachmeier and company get it done on Saturday night underneath the desert lights. I got them winning 34-27. Too much efficiency in their team, and they just find ways to win. BYU's streak over is on the line. The desert crowd will be rocking, and whoever wins this one might just be the Big 12 dark horse heading into November. Drop your score predictions down below. Let us know who you think comes out on top in this Big 12 Saturday night matchup between the BYU Cougars and the Arizona Wildcats. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Help us to get to 1,000 subs. We really appreciate the support, and we'll see you next week. It's time to break the huddle.